what do you think? I mean, like, do you think it's positive because they are boosting the signal? And if you want to, the more people are engaging, maybe the more people see the tweet. Or are you more of the mind that, like, I don't want Bob Lucas getting any revenue from Twitter based on what he says about my token? What do you think about that? Real quick, I want to talk about this friend .tech thing that we have going on. So Sami's been tweeting about it a lot. The social monetization platform based on, it's actually the Twitter API data. So if you've got a Twitter account, or like anybody that has a big Twitter account, whatever it is, whatever your following is, basically on friend.tech, you can get on there. You download the app straight off of their website, which I think is just friend.tech. And basically everybody's Twitter is right on there. You have to get some kind of referral code because I believe this is just the beta part of the system right now. But this is really interesting, and I've seen people calling it SoFi, which at first I don't know how the bank feels about this, but socialized finance. But yeah, like basically the rise in accounts being able to monetize the growth of somebody on a social platform or something like that. I think that sounds like a great idea. I think it's something that was probably inevitable once all these different monetization systems we've seen within crypto started. And I wonder to you, Ewok, I mean, and I'm not saying that, this specific platform is the one, or I'm certainly not investing in any of this stuff right now. But in the ever changing landscape to try to predict what new big fad is going to run away with this next bull cycle narrative, because we know we see one every single time. Could this be it? Because some of the ingredients are adding up for me. And I mean, I'm not laughing it off. I don't think it's stupid necessarily. Like, the infancy of NFTs that we've seen over the last few years. What do you think about this, though? Because I don't know. I could really see this being a major narrative in this bull cycle.
Yeah, it's interesting. It definitely makes you wonder. I mean, I think it's a good concept. Will this be the final draft? Probably not. You know what I mean? But like you said, it is definitely a social experiment. Now, wasn't this the same thing though that got leaked of a lot of its data in the first week or so? Wasn't that the Friend Tech thing?
I saw you sent me something about that the other day. I didn't really confirm whether that was them or not.
I think their APIs got leaked or something got leaked anyway, but it was more personal information, and that's kind of where we have to be careful.
Right.
Yes, blockchain is transparent, but when it includes personal data, emails, real names, things like that people just may not want out there, you have to be careful. So that's kind of where the security model of it comes into play, and how much of that API is public knowledge or who's receiving it. The cool thing about it, and I think Dick Catcher was tweeting about it. I saw that he was kind of digging into it, where he said that when someone buys a coin, it mints more. When someone sells a coin, it burns them. So you're not really focusing on price as much as you are volume. I think the volume is more incentivized than the price, which is a totally different model than most of crypto, because really, Richard Hart says it himself, the only thing people care about is price go up, right?
Right.
So this is a little bit different, where it incentivizes the volume, is what he was saying. Now, I haven't really dug real deep into it. It just, I think it's going to be a neat experiment. I just don't want to be a casualty of an experiment. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not involved. Like I'm not really trying to grow my Twitter page or anything like that. I follow people that follow me, and vice versa. I get a new follower, I check them out. If they're into the Richard Hart ecosystem, I'll give them a follow. And then likewise, if I see somebody spouting off a bunch of stuff that I don't want to hear, I unfollow or mute them usually. And so yeah, it's not like I'm trying to grow my page, but it's an interesting experiment. We'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be interesting, and I think there could be a lot more spin-offs of this type of thing coming.
That's the interesting thing is, yeah, if you're not even yourself trying to grow your Twitter page or anything, because I mean, hey, Elon's done a great job with that. I mean, the monetization of Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it right now, and people monetizing their tweets and stuff like that. I
Sure.
mean, if you thought it was cringy before to see like the 6 ways that I perfected my body by age 38, and then like some 40 tweet thread or something. I mean, it's going to get even worse now.
Right.
But it's a great idea because,
Sure.
like, I mean, yeah, incentivize those people to make good content. Maybe you'll get less shitty threads, or maybe they'll actually be good ones now because of that. But
I think we're gonna get more people just egging people on though too, because they're doing it for engagement. So there will be a lot more engagement farming. There was also a comment where he said he was going to get rid of the block, that's kind of scary too, because people are going to have to learn a lot more self-control. You're not going to be able to block people. You're not going to be able to see. And it really pays them when people argue or say, even if I don't agree with you, I'm just going to say, yeah, you're totally wrong. Well, that farming thing, the comments and the replies is what engages the tally for the monetization. So, people are going to have to reel themselves back a little bit more and start at least mute people if they don't agree with things, because you get into the confrontations like that and it only pays them more to continue doing what they're doing that you don't like. So
right. Crypto 7 is going to have to see my tweets now. You know? I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. Not that I tweet much, but yeah, let me ask you. So, hey, I want to go back to a point because this is something I've been wanting to bring up a couple of weeks and I forgot. You were talking about like some of the people just kind of doing stuff for engagement farming. Now, there's lots of different kinds of engagement farming, but let's talk specifically about like with our ecosystem that we love, Pulse Chain, HEX, all these things. A couple of weeks ago when the SEC news came down, of course, the Bob Lucases, the big cheds on Twitter, even Peter Brandt came out. I'm going to start tweeting about HEX all of a sudden. And Bob Lucas has been doing it. He's been kind of a HEX troll for quite some time. But what I want to ask you is, I saw somebody say in reference to their threads or some of the other big influencers that don't ever speak about HEX in any way, dunk on it for 24 hours after the SEC thing. And even if Pulse 1,000X's this bull cycle, will never say one word about it or anything like that. Admit wrong, nothing, acknowledge it in any way. But I saw somebody say, like, should we ignore those people when they do it, even though they are boosting the signal of Pulse Chain or HEX? They're like, don't engage with these guys. You're paying them by engaging with them and stuff like that. I don't know. I can see both sides of that coin. I really don't care that much because I know I just don't do Twitter. It's just not a thing I am into that much. But what do you think? I mean, like, do you think it's positive because they are boosting the signal? And if you want to, the more people are engaging, maybe the more people see the tweet. Or are you more of the mind that, like, I don't want Bob Lucas getting any of my potential, any revenue from Twitter based on what he says about my token? What do you think about that?
It's a fine line. I really think it's a fine line. I mean, because you're right. There are two sides to it. On one hand, you ignore them and they kind of go away, but it may be an audience that we don't have in our, in our circle, and people may hear about it and look into it. What's this HEX thing? What's he talking about? And then the more engagement, obviously, the more it comes onto the timelines and, people's vision, they get to see it a little bit more. On the other hand, do we want him to monetize it and just engagement farm? Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to the no news is bad news. Any news could be good news, no matter how good it is or bad. So, six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. It's one of those. We're gonna have to see how it kind of goes, but I think you have to be selective. I don't think we should be going into their page bashing them. Maybe drop a couple good facts and that's it. Just drop facts instead of argue. That may be the better way. And once people realize that this community, you had the guy from Lamont from the movie
Lamont Black,
who has really dug into the community, the code, everything like that, and mentioned, I can't tell you how many times, how impressed he is with how smart the people are here and how intelligent and helpful. And all, he goes on and says, I was very skeptical when I came in. I'm the guy that's trying to cut this thing down, and now I have to go into this cult-like group and defend myself. But once he started looking into it, you can kind of tell now that he's pretty much on our side, and he's understanding it more. He understands the T-shares, he understands the system, and the value. So, it's only going to take a couple of those to get their eyes on it and actually do their own research if they do it well, to figure out that this is a pretty interesting group of people here. So it could help. Again, more eyes on it, the better. I just think we have to be strategic, careful about how we go engaging back sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And this ecosystem's too big to like control how everybody in the community is going to
Yeah.
act. So it's just, I'm more in favor of like, hey, if you're going to tweet about it and you have a big signal, go ahead and tweet about it. I don't
Yeah.
care. I mean, like, we all know what you're doing. We know that you want clicks, and I mean, hey, it speaks for itself. It's like, Richard Hart, this ecosystem, the SEC stuff. It's all like everybody's gonna have an opinion on it. And it just shows that, like, that, this ecosystem, there's a fever pitch behind it, and people have a reaction to it, which is a good thing overall. So